So with that, I want to get to what I think is a foundation of critical thinking for a consultant, right? So obviously, critical thinking is a big part of being a consultant. You cannot engage with folks unless you have weighed through multiple options rationally. However, what really enables you to do critical thinking is one, knowing that it's not about you. What does that mean, right? So let's say you are going into a discussion or you're getting into some kind of a negotiation or an argument with another person. You obviously have your own biases, you have your own thoughts, and you have a point of view, right? And the intention of the argument or the discussion should not be just enforcing your point of view. So going into the discussion with the frame of mind that you are going in to solve the problem that works for everyone. An example could be the remote setup, right? Just before the session started, I saw that folks were really like going through a hard time having these remote classes and so on. And obviously, it's something that's hard for both the students as well as the lecturer, right? And obviously, the lecturer would have their own point of view, student would have their own point of view. If both of you go into a discussion, let's say to sort this problem out, with the intent of forcing your point of view, you can just imagine what's going to happen in that discussion, right? You're not going to get to anything. Like, it's just going to be a waste of time. So it's important that you go into any discussion with that mindset, right? It's not enough if you just go into the discussion with that mindset. It's important that you listen. And when I say listen, it's really listening to all aspects of it. It's about being empathetic to the other person's problem, understanding and reading beyond just the words, right? Listening to the tone, right? Like, do you hear the frustration in the voice when a statement is made and so on. Just want to call out, this does not mean that you are going in with a submissive stance. What it really is about is you are going with an intent to collect as much data as possible so that your critical thinking engine can work. So that's a critical part. If you're really a critical thinker, you are a rational person, right? So rationally making decision without all the information that you have is not critical thinking, right? And if you are to purely think from that point of view, it's in interest of critical thinking that you go in with that open stance. However, just want to add the third pillar of the foundation, that is being authentic. So just because you went in with an open frame of mind, just because you listen to every aspect of what the other person spoke, the intent is not that you agree with everything the other person says. What's important from critical thinker is for you to be authentic, right? Yes, I have come in with the frame of mind. I have listened to all the data. I've gone through the rational thought process, and here is what I think is the next step, right? You need to be authentic in that sense. It's not about, just following what the other person says, just listening and obeying what the other person says. Rather, it's about solving the problem in a way that works for everyone and works long term, right? Unless you're authentic, you might agree to something in that discussion, but when you come out of it long term, you have actually agreed to it without being authentic, and then you're going to have another set of problems. Cool. So the second case is this was an Italian client. The client did not speak our language, in this case English. And how do we work through this, right? So the client is one of the largest grocery retailers in Italy, and most folks don't speak English, right? When I say most, 95% don't speak English, and about 10-15% understand English if you speak to them, and remaining don't. The engagement was they are ramping up their business. They had issues with their software tools. They needed someone to come in and take a look at their entire process, right? Like, look at it from end to end, understand how things are done in the business, like negotiating the contracts with the suppliers or vendors, inventory tracking at their warehouses and stores, pricing the products right across different zones, running promotions across the year, and so on, right? So the scope was, like I said, understand the way the business operates, understand the value streams, and come up with a plan to build the tools, and then eventually build the tools as well with their small IT team. So they had two people on their side in the IT team. So the context is Italy is their IT, you could say, IT is quite weak in terms of capabilities there. There aren't many IT companies in Italy, and they were able to hire only two people in the IT team. So one was a developer and other was a business analyst. And the business analyst spoke English and Italian fluently. So that person was our primary point of interaction. Right. So what should we do, right? What was the intent with which we went in, right? So we went in to understand the roles, like what different people did in the organization, understand inefficiencies in how people operate today, right? And then understand how these people interact with each other and the systems as well, how each system interacts with each other and how these people interact with systems and so on. The plan was that once we understood it, we sit together with these folks and co-create a plan. Like always, remember, we are not going here with authority, right? We are not saying, of course, that's something that we could do, but then that does not achieve the outcome that we really want, right? So it's important that we co-create a plan, agree on a plan together that works for all of us, so that when we are gone, they are not talking behind our back saying, you know what, good riddance, right? Rather, they're saying, you know what, they did help us. So that's really what we're looking for. Roll that out, like get the software to be working there, and then get any feedback, right? And then iterate over the solution that we have rolled out. Now, the biggest challenge was listening to the client, right? So obviously in Singapore, we had folks who spoke English. It was quite easy to understand. So in this case, the client cannot speak English, right? Like we have 20 people in the room who start from like negotiating the deals or contracts with the suppliers on one end of the chain. And we have folks from store who are actually putting up labels on the product because they did not have digital pricing labels. They would put up the printed labels and restock the shelves and so on. Now, how do we understand a client? How do we make sure that we are listening to them correctly, right? Any ideas, folks? Give it a shot. It's not about who is right or wrong.
Hina is saying that firstly, there should be an unbiased interpreter.
Fantastic. Yes.
Absolutely. Anyone else from the class? Rahul is writing fair and equal.
Fair and equal. Can you explain, Rahul, a bit more on that?
Chidwala is saying to engage on their preferred channels or problem.
Got it. Yes. That's the intent, that we engage the best possible way and understand their problems. Correct. Any other thoughts, folks? Cool. Perfect. So you remember I called out that we had a business analyst who was fluent in English and Italian. So that's a person we used as an interpreter for these sessions. However, we felt that the way things are perceived, the way things get translated, it might not be, it's not 100% of the communication, right? That's a lot more to communication than just words. So one of the critical things that we wanted to focus on was non-verbal communication. So we used whiteboarding extensively, right? So what that meant is we used, a male kind of a figure for a category manager. We use a female kind of figure for the person who negotiates with the vendors and so on. And we standardized that. So it was very straightforward that we really called out from the start saying, we're going to use a standard images going forward. And we drew those images as part of the conversation. Every single time use the same image so that there is no room for misinterpretation, right? A lot of whiteboarding. The other thing, which was, I would say, one of my colleagues had a brilliant, idea. So we bought a football, right? So we are talking about a business where there are processes and people are really doing one thing, and then there is a chain that's getting passed on to the next person, the next person, right? So what we did was we bought a football from one of their stores, and we said, you know what, you're going to hold this football. We're going to start from the start of the chain. You're going to hold this football. You're going to call out what is it that you do in your role, and then you're going to call out what are the pain points that you have in your role currently, and then third, call out who are the people that you interact with and what are systems that you interact with. And as he kept speaking, the BA kept translating, and we just kept on drawing and writing that on the board, right? And this football did a couple of things. One, it established that easy connect, right? So when the first person passes the football to the second person and second to third, we did not have to do a lot of explaining to them. There were also conversations saying, you know what, I got this file, but you know what, I don't send it to one person, I send it to two people, and then they go on their own flow. So we made a note, right? We said, let's explore this chain first, and explore the second chain next, and so on. The second thing that brought up, that it facilitated, was whoever was holding the football got a lot of attention. So usually what happens is, if you're just talking, pointing to people, someone talks, folks are like not really listening, or people interject and so on. But having the football in hand kind of like gave that sign saying that, you know what, someone holding the football is the one who speaks, and rest of us listen, right? So that's the second part that brought in. So overall, it was a very, very simple idea using a physical object. However, it really gave us a very clean line of or chain of activities and a very much focused discussion on each role. And there was a lot of surprises, right? When people shared their pain points, there were others in the organization who never knew that was a pain point. And they never knew that this person was actually downloading the Excel file, making the edits, and then uploading it. They always thought this person was working on the software online and never actually did something manually, right? And many were surprised. There are a lot of interesting outcomes from that. Second thing is over communication, right? So engage them, right? Like Rahul said, engage them in whatever ways that you can. So we used to send a clear-cut, detailed agenda at the start of the meeting that was translated into Italian, and minutes of meeting again translated to Italian at the end of the meeting. We had diagrams, like pictures taken of it, sent in email so that they can go take a look at it. We had expectations set for each role. So there was so much detail that was shared with folks so that there was no room for misunderstanding or misses. The third part was where I was talking about, right, the diagrams and prototypes. So whenever we build, discuss solutions, we made an attempt to build prototypes. Like we build prototypes, we send the links to the prototypes and said, can you make use of this before you come to tomorrow's meeting and give us feedback? And lastly, once we started building the software, we did very, very frequent showcases, because it's given that the language barrier would bring in a lot more misunderstanding than some other client where there is no language barrier. So we had weekly showcases, like weekly we got together, looked at what was working, what was not working, and then went back and made the updates. So obviously what we did at the earlier client will not work here. What we did here might be an overkill for some other client, right? That might be a noise for them. So that's where it's critical for us to think through and figure out what works in what scenario and what does not. But listening to client was a critical thing, right? So here there's a lot of synthesis that's going in, a lot of critical thinking. Obviously, a good amount of expertise, presence of mind. However, you could see a lot of synthesis and critical thinking playing a very, very vital role.